Yellow High
with Anna Schofield
and Big Hass.
It's a bit of a lie. It's just Anna Schofield, live through till 8 o'clock tonight. Hass obviously having a couple of days off. Everyone needs it at the moment, don't they? Did you hear the furor that ensued over the last couple of days because an actor did a Zoom kind of interview with a director? And I'm just trying to find the name of the actor. I don't know the series that he's in, but I know everybody else would. Gage, 25 years old he is. And basically, he was on Zoom to a particular director. It's come out today that the director was a British director. Great. Another good thing for the Brits to be blamed for. Tristram Shapiro. He admitted that he was the director. Lucas Gage is the name of the young actor. And Lucas was obviously doing the interview over Zoom from his apartment. Now, obviously, with all these Zoom calls, there is the situation where everyone's getting used to it. In fact, I was in a voiceover the other day and the advertising agent was talking about how Zoom calls and how, there's always someone who's on mute or there's always someone that can't get their screen on. And, we now face all those things because we're so used to this weird new digital world. But the director thought he was muted and he wasn't. And he turned round to the person he was with and said, oh, goodness, these poor people live in these tiny apartments. Like I'm looking at his, background and he's got his TV and basically started slating and shading this young actor's apartment, thinking he was on mute. Upon which the young actor, Lucas Gage, said he was obviously there going, oh, this is embarrassing. He's completely slating my house and I can hear him. So he turned around, smiled and went, I know, it's a really rubbish apartment, isn't it? That's why you got to give me this job so I can get a better one. And obviously the director was mortified. Now, apparently the director at the time turned around and said, I am so sorry. But Lucas didn't out him, actually. Lucas Gage didn't out who the director was, but he did go onto his Instagram and he did draw light to it. And he did say, people slating you when they think they're muted and they're not isn't very nice and you shouldn't say these things. And he went on a whole tirade. And of course, today, which is quite interesting, the director who did it has come out and said he's the unmuted voice who insulted this star's flat in a Zoom audition. So, it's kind of a non-story, but at the same time, it is a nice one. It is a story because I think that it's a story of now. It's very relevant in this age. You've got to be so careful on Zoom. How many accidents have we seen happen? I saw one where there were loads, there was like a whole class and there was about, 15, 20 people, whatever, all on screen. And I feel like it was a big meeting for some corporate company. And one of the people turned their computer away and they went to the bathroom, but they turned their computer away so it was facing a mirror. And so every other person on that Zoom meeting then were privy to what went on, with everyone going, no, but the person didn't know. Just the thought of all those cameras makes you want to squeeze your own head. So listen, just take it to heart that when we're on Zoom, never assume. We actually have it here in the radio station. You never assume that the mic is off, even when it's off. And there has been a time before when our boss has rung us and said, guys, I can hear you. And music was playing. And for some reason, the sound was coming out of the microphones. So always assume that everyone can hear you and always be polite. The end. Keep it here. It's Yalla Home on Pulse 95.
Yalla Home
with Anna Schofield
and Big Hass.
Except that it's just Anna Schofield tonight. Big Hass taking a rest. And as the show goes on, I always find myself through gritted teeth going, Hass is taking a rest. It's never as much fun. 4215 if you want to chat to me tonight. I am here through till 8. Totally live, obviously. Coming up to 6:15. I want to talk about monkeys. I just want to talk about monkeys. No, there is a reason I want to talk about monkeys. So basically, there is a pianist who, he plays classical music anyway. And he wanted to highlight the plight of monkeys generally because of the hunger that they're facing in various forms across the world. But more than that, he then wanted to play the piano to them because he wanted to see how they reacted. Now, if you've seen the footage, you're going to be giggling about it anyway because it is highly amusing. So these are little These are sort of average-sized monkeys, very, very long tails. They're not the apes, and they're not the black monkeys. They're little sort of llama monkeys. Anyway, he put his piano in the, what would you call it? You know, when monkeys are kept out, enclosure. There we go. There's the word I'm looking for. He put the piano in the enclosure, and he starts playing Pachelbel's Canon and all these kind of classical tunes that actually you probably know the tune of. You might not know the name of it, but you go, oh, I know that one. Anyway, he's playing it, and gradually all these monkeys start moving towards the piano. They're really curious and nosy creatures anyway, monkeys. They're hilariously funny. But the actual visual of all these monkeys coming over to the piano was amazing. They climbed on the piano, they climbed in the piano, they sat on the piano, they then sat on him. There was one sat on his head, he had one on his shoulder. Then they started to lift the music up as he was playing, which was quite funny, because then he started tinkling like Les Dawson. If you're old enough to remember Les Dawson, you'll understand that gag. There was a few missed notes, quite amusing. And then a couple of them sat actually on the keys, but what they didn't do was ignore him. And what they didn't do was move away from him. They were all about the piano. And he would change from one song into another. It's really, really funny footage. Just monkeys absolutely loving it. So the upshot is, he's highlighting the monkey's plight, but he's also doing a service, for the community, because now we know that monkeys absolutely love classical music. That literally is what they said at the end. I'm going to try and pin some of this footage onto Pulse 95 Instagram, just so you can see, because it's one of those lovely things that actually everyone should just watch for fun, because it'll make you feel good. Do you have those secret, this is a question for Hass as well, do you have those secret things that you watch just because it makes you happy? I do. I watch puppies on Instagram. I follow puppies and kittens, and when you follow puppies and kittens, it's silly things like there was one particular day I got home, and you get home and you're just full of work and you just want to be quiet. There was a puppy being held under a tap for a wash, and every time its face went under the water, it just blinked very gently and very, very sweetly. That made my day. Well, this is what this will do. When you see the man playing the piano and he is literally covered in monkeys, you'll go, and the world's a better place. There you go. That's the show without Hass. 5:45, of course, we're heading towards 6 o'clock, and after 6 I'm doing the music greats. Don't miss it. It's a great tune. Who remembers Level 42? Just going to hang that out there for you. Keep it here. It's Anna Schofield, Yellow Home, Pulse 95.
Music's greatest songs. Worth covering. Original classic hitmakers.
Absolutely wonderful. Listen to that. All right, so you've got to delve into the late 80s for the band that I'm about to talk about. Level 42, absolutely huge in the UK and then into America. A couple of their songs really peaked at the top of the Billboard charts, which must have been quite a surprise for them. They're proper musos. So let me tell you about Level 42. They're an English jazz funk band. And it's funny when I get these kind of categories. Everyone loves to pigeonhole people. My memory of Level 42, I would have gone jazz funk, really. Not, but yes, I suppose some of the guitar work that they've done in some of their songs could fall into that. But it wouldn't have been the genre that I would have gone, oh yes, I'm going to hang them on that one. But that is what they're called. And funnily enough, they formed on the Isle of Wight in 1979. They go back so far. And actually, thinking about it, also in the 90s, I remember Mark King, who kind of was the most famous member of the band and played the bass in a really unusual way, really high and weird, and he became known for it. He seemed old even then. Do you know what I mean? And some people just seem old forever, and he seemed old in the 90s. So that would figure if they formed in 1979. They had worldwide hits. The songs that, if you know Level 42, you would probably have expected me to play were Lessons in Love, very famous. And there was also Leaving Me Now, Something About You. I could play all three of those songs, actually. I'm quite tempted to. Over the next few days, while the cat's away, the mice will play. And if Hass is going to leave me alone, I'm just going to run riot. But they had loads of success. They started off as a band that just played music, and that's what they wanted to do, which is probably where the jazz funk thing comes in. So there was 5 of them, all guys, all massive kind of musos. They met at university. One went off to the Guildford School of Music and studied. Then they ended up in London, got together, and there were brothers in there, Phil and Roland, the Gould brothers they were called. But Roland was often known by Boone. That's what they called him, Boone. That's his nickname. name. And they just kind of gelled. And in the end, they were looking for, funnily enough, a singer. And they couldn't really find someone that fits. So in the end, Mark King took the role. And that was quite an interesting part of the research that I did, because to hear that Mark King sort of landed that role by accident doesn't surprise me. Because when you listen to the songs, you don't go, wow, that man's got tubes, he can really sing. He kind of just manages to go through it. He's very sort of tenor, he's very down there, Mark King. And then there was another member of the band that could sing kind of a little bit higher, and so he would do the different harmonies with him. So that was interesting to read that, because obviously I was young when they were first coming out. I was aware of their music, but I wasn't going into the intricacies of it. So everything that I comment on it is just vibe and feeling when I would see them on Top of the Pops or something. Mark King seemed really old, and also his voice seemed really low, and he wasn't a great singer, but wow, the man could play the bass. And that made him very, very famous. They had quite a few albums that were just kind of middle albums. You had to be a real fan. But one of the things that they were doing was they were great at live. So when they ended up at Bodour Records, Bodour just went, go and gig, because everybody loves you when you gig. And that's where the huge fan base arrived from. It was from gigging. People loved them. So by sort of the late 80s, they are really kicking it. In 1987, they played at the Prince's Trust concert with Eric Clapton. And Eric Clapton played with them for Running in the Family. And the album Running in the Family was just such a huge album. Everyone was on it. All the songs were known. And that's where one of these songs comes from, or the song that I'm about to play comes from that album. It was great. And that's really where I came in on that album, which ended up being one of their last. In 1996, through to about 2000, the band disbanded, and Mark King did a few solo albums, and he was the most famous. So he did an album called One Man and a couple of others. But in 2005, they did another lineup of Level 42. And actually, believe it or not, it was the 7th lineup. Mark King was still there, but they kept changing the other band members. And that seems to is what caused the problems. That's why from sort of 1993 onwards, they sort of disbanded and didn't really do that well. And it's just them breaking up and not being the band that they were. And so from 2005 off they went, and they've done tours and they've done different lineups. And Mark Hill is the one. Mark Hill is from the Artful Dodger. Mark King is the one that kind of fronts all that, because he is Level 42. So when you listen to these songs, it's all about the guitars. I want to talk about the song It's Over. For some reason, this hits a mark. I think that it was probably one of the first love songs that I'd ever been introduced to. It was the 4th single from the album Running in the Family, and it reached number 10 in the UK, and it charted in the Billboard Hot 100. For them, it was a really big deal, but it's also quite funny the special releases they did of it. They talk about it. There was a 7-inch single. We're talking vinyl here, guys. 7-inch single and 2 12-inch singles. I remember 12-inch singles. And they had different track listings. And then there was a limited edition 7-inch single that came with 4 photo postcards of the band. Hilarious. And I read that and just thought, we've got to do it. You also got logo stickers, proper fan stuff. So have a listen to this band. Not many people will remember it. It's 1987 we're going back to with this song. It's a love song from 1987. Enjoy it. It is, of course, Level 42 on the Music Greats on Yalla Home.
Yalla Home
With Anna Schofield.
and Big House.
But actually just Anna Schofield in for the night tonight, live through till 8 o'clock. Nice having you with me. Let's talk Saudi Arabia. So even though Big Hass isn't here, don't worry. His truth shines through, because I'm still talking about Saudi. Interestingly, the health ministry in Saudi Arabia said it hopes to have enough vaccines to cover 70% of the country's population by the end of 2021. They also said that all vaccinations will be free to all people who live there. People living in the kingdom is the actual statement. Free for everyone. I love this. I think it's amazing. Obviously, I was talking about this the other day to Big Hass in terms of the things that they can roll out here, because I know the UAE has a huge plan in just vaccinating everyone And one of the things that Big House did say was he turned around and said, yes, but, the population size is completely different. I think we're at 9 or 10 million here in the UAE, whereas if the UK tried to vaccinate the entire population, they're going to need 67 million vaccinations, which is quite tough organising that, I would have thought. So I think what the UK, especially listening to Mimi on the news and what's happening, I've been watching it all day, the UK will adopt an approach of those most at risk get the vaccine first. And I think that will work in the UK because actually young people have kind of had a devil-may-care attitude. They've been flouting the rules anyway and going, look, what's going to happen? I'm going to get flu. It's a very different reaction to the reaction that we've had here in the UAE. We're a very obedient society and we trust the government here and they've handled it brilliantly. And as a result, we're trusting them, they're trusting us to do as they say, and you've got this lovely kind of working together situation. And I say that from the heart as well. I think it's just been incredibly impressive. But the difference between, 9 million versus 67 million, you're going to have some rebellion at some point with 67 million people. So with that being the case, that I know that that's what they'll do. They'll roll out the vaccination to the people who are most at risk, which will be the elderly or the infirm or people with life-threatening illnesses, things like that. They'll all get it first. But Saudi Arabia is the first to come out and say, we're going to do it. Everyone will get it for free and we're going to try and do everyone as quickly as we can, but 70% by the end of next year, which is pretty impressive. And with doing this, we can literally eradicate. If you think that some countries can just vaccinate the whole country and then they won't have COVID-19, it literally will change the world back again, which will be nice. And that is what everyone wants. So it's lovely hearing all these positive vibes in the news. You heard it here first. It's 6:30. We are Yalla Home and it's Pulse 95.
Yalla Home
With Anna Schofield.
and Big House.
Actually, just Anna Schofield live through till 8 o'clock, so stay with me. I'm going to be talking about Black Friday because obviously we're not on air here. It's the weekend, but Black Friday is coming. This Thursday is Thanksgiving. And so on Thursday, I'll be talking all about Thanksgiving. And if you are American and you want to educate this Brit and my fine co-host, Mr. Saudi Arabia Big House, we would love to hear from you on Thursday, 4215. And you can tell us how you celebrate Thanksgiving. I know there's lots of special traditions and little quirks like the children's table. And you need to talk to me about the dish with the marshmallow juice in it that you then put gravy on, because that freaked me out when I had it. But it's such a lovely give back tradition and obviously huge in America. My sister lives in Chicago, so she's doing a whole Thanksgiving thing. But following Thanksgiving on the Thursday is Black Friday, which basically means, from what I can tell, sales. Traditionally, it takes place the day after Thanksgiving. So major sales are launched across the United States of America and the rest of the world. And that's wonderful. The thing is, this year, it's gone digital. And that's what's really amusing. Of course it has, because everything in 2020 has gone digital. So, and I find digital very hard to say. It's my bad word. I can't say it. Anyway, it's now going to last also more than one day. That's the good news. So it won't just be on Friday. You can actually do Saturday, and you'll find the sales are ramping up now. It's been adapted by brands as well. So you're getting Black Friday, Yellow Friday, White Friday. There's all sorts. And I'm talking big guys like Amazon, like Prime. I may as well name them all now. Noon, Namshi's, all of them have got amazing kind of deals. So do have a look around, because over the next few days, we're going to be able to buy lots of gorgeous stuff. Just saying, Black Friday coming after Thanksgiving. It is coming up to 7:45. This is it from me here at Yalla Home. A lovely, lovely close. Hope you're having a lovely drive home and a lovely hump day. And I'll be back tomorrow from 5. Keep it here at Pulse 95.
If you liked this episode of Yalla Home, drop a like and subscribe.
95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.